Good morning, my fellow Africans and the world at large. This is Emmanuel Mensah once again coming into your homes and your minds with a message of empowerment and enlightenment, all the way from Ontario, Canada. Today is Monday, the 11th of April in the year 2022, and the Bible says this is the day the Lord has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. And for that matter, I take this opportunity to invite the whole world, any man or woman listening to my voice, to join me to rejoice and to give thanks to God for the day, the beautiful and a wonderful day He has given unto us, and also the gift of life that has been granted unto us for free. Life is beautiful, life is wonderful, life is something that we need to rejoice and be glad and appreciative for, because it is given to us for free by our Maker. Today, I'm going to talk to you about on a topic I called the roots of all habits is taught. The roots of all habits is taught. Habit is something that we all know and we all experience. Everyone, every man or woman has his or her habits. We have the good habits and the bad habits. But we don't normally sit down to ask ourselves how habits are formed. Are habits something that we are born with, or we develop them on earth here? And the answer is habits are developed. No one is born with any kind of habit. When we were born, the day we were born, we came with a clean mind, nothing on the mind. So as soon as we enter the earth plane, and then we begin to interact with the outer world with our five senses. And also our parents and society begins to mold us. So our responses to the outer world, that causes us to form habits, to begin to develop habits. So today we're going to look at how habits are formed and how we can actually overcome habits, those that we call bad habits or chronic ones. According to Ralph Waldo Emerson, that sow a thought and you reap an action, sow an act and you reap a habit, sow a habit and you reap a character, sow a character and you reap a destiny. So when we look at this chain of reactions or whatever, the beginning is thought. And then it goes on to become a destiny. So the beginning of every habit, good or bad, is a thought. And as a matter of fact, thought is the beginning of everything. We are told in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, that in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. That statement, in the beginning, is something that represents our thought process. Whatever thing that you begin to talk of, you begin to think about, it starts with a thought. You look at this, and then the first thought begins. So every other thought that comes after is a build up or a supporting thought to that originating thought. And as you go on to emotionalize and then dwell upon these thoughts and adding more thoughts onto the originating thought, it becomes big, it expands, and then it becomes crystallized, and then it takes form in the outer world. And that is how our habits and everything is formed. Everything that is created began from thought. God, the Bible says, God started creations in the beginning. God created heaven and earth. It simply means that in the beginning, the beginning is God's beginning to think about what He wanted to do, and then He emotionalized it. And as He emotionalized these thoughts, they became things in the outer world. And so, if you study thoughts and in the metaphysical world, they say matter is the densest part of thought because it is the thought that you dwell upon, then it becomes crystallized into outer forms. And so when we look at it, and let me even explain this a little bit. When we talk of spiritual nature, your spiritual nature is not as we were taught in Africa, like there are some evil forces or whatever, or people shaking and doing all this kind of stuff. No, your spiritual state is your thought state or your thought process. Everything that you think about, every thought that you take and dwell upon it with emotions generates energy. And maybe if you don't know today, let me take this opportunity to inform you that we are all energy. We are being powered by energy. So human beings, we generate energy. So your thoughts, charged with emotions, send out signals. It sends out signals just as we send the TV or the radio station, they send out signals. And then when these signals goes out, they look for those that correspond with them on wavelength, just like the radio, the way the radio works or the TV works. So if you are on channel 1 and the signal is on channel 1, you automatically fix it. And that is how we work in the spirit. It is thought process charged by emotions. It generates signals. Then these signals goes out into the universe. And then when it goes, they interact or they look for each other on the same frequency. Then they come together. So you will see that sometimes people are drawn to you and you realize that the way they think, the way they behave is exactly as you think. Sometimes you go into a room, you go for a program, out of the Lord, you will see that by some arrangement, you are drawn to a certain group of people. Sometimes you will sit with some of them, but you will not have anything to do with them. But those that sit far away from you, by some arrangement, you eventually come together. And then if we take people who engage in habits like smoking, drinking, they easily identify themselves. Wherever anyone goes that the person is a smoker, the person automatically connects with his fellow smokers. And even, yeah, this is how it is done. These are all thought process. We are connected on that level. If you don't have anything to do in common, if you don't have anything in common in terms of the thought process, in terms of the thoughts and emotions you are generating, you repel, you don't meet, you don't know. Yeah, so that is how it is. So when in Africa it comes like evil forces and people using juju and all these things are nothing. Those chants, those trees and amulets that this fetish priest and those juju men uses are nothing but tricks to get your mind to a certain level. But the actual thing that works on this is the thought. The man or woman sits down to charge his or her thoughts with emotions, and as she does that, it sends out signals. And if the person that this signal is sent to is on the same frequency, then the person will actually be affected. But when it comes that way, it is not any evil forces necessarily living somewhere, but it is just the energy. It is that the same energy given to us through our thoughts that someone has taken and is abusing it. If you take kerosene or petrol, you can take petrol and put it into your car and use it and enjoy it. Another person too will take the petrol and pour it onto the car and burn it. All the same is the same element that has been used for different purposes, and it is the same thing. The evil forces we talk of in Africa is nothing but the abuse of thought power. is the abuse of thought power. So when we turn it to the other side and use this thought power positively, we will create greater and positive things. Anyway, that is just by the way. So that is our spiritual state. When you sit down and you think, you emotionalize things, that is you are in the spirit. You are a spiritual being, and the way you operate in the spirit is by your thoughts and your emotions. So when you take a thought and you continually dwell on it over and over and over, it eventually becomes a habit. And this habit goes on to become your character, and that character becomes your destiny, as Emerson said. And that is how every human being's habit is formed. So if you have anything that you think it is the work of the evil forces, no, it started from your own mind. And when all these thoughts sank into your subconscious mind, then they became habits. They became your automatic reaction. They became all your automatic reaction to things or the way you behave. So if you want to uproot these thoughts, if you want to overcome this, taking medication and all these things will not work until you do something within your subconscious mind to dislodge those thoughts from there and then replace them with positive and constructive ones. So this is how human beings we operate and how we form all our habits and how it becomes our character and destiny. Sometimes these habits becomes chronic, and some people it actually takes them to the grave. Some people too, they form good habits, and that habit makes them great and wonderful things. So good habits and bad habits are the same thing, but the direction in which they are used that makes the difference, just like how I use the number line. So now I'm going to use this biblical statement made by St. Paul in Romans 7:15, and then I'm going to use it to explain to you how, when these habits are formed at the subconscious level, they take control and how they control us. According to St. Paul, for I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who did it, but it is sin living in me that does it. It is sin living in me that does it. This is a very critical point in the quotation. So now, as I explained, you begin to form your habits. You take one thought, like worry. Someone make worry his or her professional business. So every evening, the person will take a seat and sit down and worry about a particular thing. So as you train your mind and this thought becomes your normal way of thinking, it becomes your habit. That is when this has sunk into your subconscious mind. And when it becomes that way, sometimes you do not want to go that way. You do not want to sit down and worry. You do not want to sit down and think about negative things. But because you've already programmed yourself in that way, it becomes your automatic reaction. So even when you want to stop it, that is when these thoughts pushes themselves back to you, and then you begin to behave it. Some people say that, no, I don't want to do that, in the way that St. Paul actually said, I didn't even want to do this, but I don't know what came upon me. I do not know what came upon me. And that is what St. Paul is saying, that it is no longer I who did it, but it is sin living in me that does it. Sin in this verse or in this quotation simply means your negative thoughts. Your negative thoughts that has become well grown in your subconscious mind, and now they are pushing themselves out back to you. So when you least expect it, you behave according to them. That is how you are controlled from within. So when we say your life is from within to the without, this comes to actually emphasize the point, and even give it more emphasis that you are not living from without to the within, but you're living from within to the without. So your habits are your own creation that you carry. And then sometimes you can pretend in the public, but as soon as someone steps on your toes, then automatically it takes over. So you are more or less walking and behaving like the car that has autopilot. When the autopilot is on, when there is a danger and you are controlling the car, as soon as the danger comes up, the machine picks up the car and controls it. At times, it stores it. It doesn't matter how well you are good in driving, the computer automatically stores the car. And that is how you operate. Once you have all these emotions, thoughts, and emotions stored within your system, whenever anything that resonates with that comes in your way, you automatically do it. And that is what St. Paul is saying, that for I do not do the good I want to do. Some people, they get out, they say that today as I'm going out, I am doing my best to behave the best way I can, but that will be the day that they will behave the worst. Why? Because there is something in them at the subconscious mind that is controlling them. That is your autopilot. And if you want to get away with this, then you have to know that you are at that time operating from your below level, your subconscious level, and that is where you need to tackle this. And how do we do this? And that is why James Allen, this is where James Allen comes in. According to James Allen, and I'm going to read these two paragraphs from his book, As a Man Thinketh, chapter 2. According to James Allen, man's mind may be likened to a garden bed, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and it will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which he requires, so may a man tend the garden of his mind, weeding out all wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, and cultivating towards perfection the flowers and fruits of right, useful, and pure thoughts. By James Allen. So, with what St. Paul said, what I do not want to do, that is what I actually go on to do. The good I want to do, I am unable to do it, but what I am resisting not to do is what I'm doing. There is no way you can go get this out of your system. No deliverance. As it is in Africa, we say, oh, these are spiritual matters. We need to take you through deliverance. We need to do that. No deliverance and this thing will solve this problem. And as someone who grew up and actually as a church person, I have seen and I know most people who have been delivered, and it has actually become a habit. There is no day that they will call people for deliverance and they will not go. But the same thing keeps repeating in their life because it is at a subconscious level. Yeah. So the only way you liberate yourself from bad habits is the cultivation of the opposite. And as James Allen gave, your mind is like a garden bed. Whatever you sow on it, sow the thought, as Emerson said, sow the thoughts, and then you get an act. So begin to sow the right thoughts that you want them to replace this negative and bad behavior. Remember, they all began as thoughts. So as you begin to emotionalize, it may be difficult, but you have to do it. It's just like anyone learning how to ride a bike or how to drive a car. So you keep on doing this, supplanting the new, or kicking the old out and then replacing them with the new one. So as you keep on doing this, this new thought becomes your automatic reaction. Then the old one becomes surprised, or they are no more there. They are no more in your system. Even if they are in your system, they are no more your automatic reaction. So anything that does not that resonate with them doesn't affect you, but you only be affected by the good and the wonderful that you put in your system. And that is how a human being, you break your habits. There is no program that can take you through habits other than you become conscious of the fact that you operate on both the conscious and then unconscious level, or the subconscious level. And anything in your subconscious level can never be uprooted by outer things. The way you got those things in you, it is the same way you have to get them out of it by replacing what you want with what you don't want. And your mind, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, your conscious mind does not store anything. Your conscious mind is just a camera. It captures that. So when James Allen says that a man's mind may be likened to a garden bed, James Allen at this point is referring to your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is like a camera. You take the picture, then it resets to its normal mode. But as soon as you take the picture, the camera stores it on the film. So the film is your subconscious mind. So if you were to guide anything, if you were to be careful of anything, you just have to make sure that your camera doesn't capture any image that you don't want. And then you close your film, you protect your film in such a way that even if the camera catches the image and you don't press the click button, it doesn't take anything. So once you have this concept, yes, your mind, thoughts will come to your mind, but so long as you do not dwell on them, so long as you do not dwell on them and emotionalize them, they have no power over you. Thoughts of what you want to dislodge out of your system will come to you, but the moment you turn over gently to what you want to replace them with, they automatically becomes inactive. And as you do that, you regenerate yourself and become a complete, free, and wonderful person. Behavior or habits are not born with. Habits are acquired on earth here, and they all begin from thoughts. Thought is the beginning. So in the beginning in the Bible is simply referring to thoughts. In the beginning of anything, the beginning of the creation of the aeroplane was a thought. The beginning of the creation of what? The greatest war that has been ever been fought in this world was a thought. The beginning of the creation of the USA was a thought. The beginning of even your child that you hold in your hand was a thought. A thought between a man and a woman who agreed that now we want to give birth. It was a thought. So go through the human life, go through everything that we do. You will come to the point that the beginning of all things is a thought. And so it is a habit. So whatever habit that you are battling with, whatever thing that you are battling with that you think it is the work of some other forces, they are not. They are within you. If there is any force to have effect on you, if any human is to have effect on you, that means you are on the same wavelength. You are operating on the same frequency. Don't forget that you are energy. The human being is energy. Your thoughts are energy, and they send out signals. So be on the right frequency. If you want to listen to only wonderful and empowering messages, then you have to be on channels that give you those programs. In the same way, if you want to have good and wonderful people, if you want good friends, good companion, wonderful things happening in your life, then intentionally dwell on thoughts about this and emotionalize them. And you realize that your sour and poor life will turn into a life that every man, every good man or woman is drawn to you, is attracted to you. And I said some time ago in one of my episodes, life is intentional. When you come to know that you are the creator and you are the creator of your own realities, then you begin to accept this truth that life is intentional. Therefore, the intentional creation begins from your mind, your conscious mind. What are you using your conscious mind to capture? Yes, you are seeing all these things. Be wise and capture only the right images, and then hand them over to your subconscious mind. And within time, all these things will be reflected back into your outer world. And once again, your life is like a movie. You are creating a movie. You are the actor, and you will be the same audience. You'll be the audience of your movie, and you experience it, whether it is good or bad. But it all begins with your thoughts that you are allowing to take root in you. The thoughts that you are allowed to take root in you begin to take control of your mind. And again, once again, the words of the book of Proverbs, that guard your heart, for all that you do in this world, in this life, comes from there. Your heart is your subconscious mind. If you are able to control your mind and dwell on only good and wonderful and beautiful things, and then live in that, you will live a prosperous and a beautiful life. Nothing in this world will affect you. 1,000 will fall on your right, 10,000 on your left, 10,000 on your right. Nothing will happen to you because you are a righteous person. Righteousness is not about going to church. Righteousness is not about being religious. Righteousness is right thinking. Righteousness is right thinking, thinking positive things over negative things. So when you get to this point, then you'll realize that you are actually in control of your life. You are a master. You are the controller of your life and your destiny. You are the creator of all these things. Once again, righteousness is not about going to church. That's religion. Righteousness in truth is right thinking. Good or bad, you choose good. Hate or love, you choose love. Happiness or sadness, you choose happiness. This is righteousness. This is right thinking. And whoever does that is pure and right before God and man, even without going to any church or belonging to any religion. And that is what in the Bible we are told that Cornelius was a righteous man, even though he wasn't even a Jew. That is what it represents. So today, I am exposing you to the powers that you have. And the power that you have is your thought. There are many thoughts, tons of thoughts that you generate. And there is nothing that you have control over it than your thoughts. No one has control over the flow of your thoughts. No one has control over the choice the thoughts that you choose to dwell upon. No one has control over the thoughts that you choose not to dwell upon. So you are the king, you are the queen, you are the president in your own mind, creating your own world. Your habits, instead of bad habits, turn them into good habits. Instead of laziness, turn them into something more positive and constructive. You can create something to empower human beings. Instead of lust, turn them into something that you will study and then acquire something beautiful to empower human beings. Instead of drunkenness, think of something that you will use your time. You use your time to do and your body to do something wonderful and great that rather than indulging in alcohol and all other things. All these things are habits, and they started from a thought. Whether you were induced into it by your friends or you saw your parents doing it, it originated from the thought that made you to like it, the thought that made you to feel like, I want to do this. And if you don't go back to that originating thought and dislodge it, whatever you are doing out there will be so hard and difficult. And that is why most people say, I have done everything that I can, but I cannot stop. And once again, that's the exact sentiment St. Paul was expressing in Romans 7:15. Therefore, I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who did it, but it is sin living in me that does it. So when negative thought becomes a block of thoughts living in you, they take control of you. And as I started, they becomes your autopilot. So when you want to laugh, As soon as someone comes with some kind of provocation, then you begin to hate. Instead of laughing, you frown your face, because that is how you have been programmed. You are your operation is in line with a computer. Whatever you have in a computer is what you will see and experience. Whatever you have within you at the subconscious life, at the subconscious level, is what you will show to the outer world. So take control of your mind, take control of your conscious mind, and begin to discipline yourself to be able to look at this and take your mind off. They are passing thoughts. Just wave them, bye-bye, then they go away. But intelligently and purposefully select the thoughts that will bring improvement, the thoughts about things that will bring improvement, enhancement, excitement, and joy, happiness, and good health to you. And as you dwell on them, you will create the wealth, you create the health, you create the happiness, you create everything that you do. Happiness can never be bought. Joy can never be bought. All these things can never be bought. They are created from within. For all that you are looking for is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. In the same way, hell is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. In the same way, hell is within you. If you make it a habit dwelling on bad thoughts, negative thoughts, and you create bad habits, you create a hell for yourself on earth here. But if you do the other way, you create heaven on earth with here. So take control of your life. Take control of your mind, my brother and sister. This is the time of awakening. This is the time of knowledge. This is the time of enlightenment. Do not walk through this earth as if you are just like inanimate object, or, excuse me to say, lower animals that do not have intelligence. You are given intelligence, but you are supposed to use your intelligence to control what you think and dwell upon. Take control of your life. God has given you beautiful and wonderful gifts. There are more beautiful and wonderful things lying within you, waiting for your activation to come to this world to bless mankind. The whole world is waiting for your own goodness, for your creation, for your inventions. Rise up, my fellow African. Rise up, my fellow young African man or woman, and begin to take control of your mind. There are no evil forces anywhere. Any man that claims to have power that can cause anything harmful or good to you is not using any other power than what I'm telling you. Thought power. They use thoughts and emotions to generate. And indeed, once you believe in it, it becomes your reality. Turn your belief into good and beautiful, prosperous things, and it will become your reality. Africa, it's time to arise. This is the time for us to move forward, and we're going to use our minds. All the negative thoughts that we've used to create witchcraft and other things, we do not have to do any deliverance to get rid of them. All we have to do is to turn to the other side. The amount of time you can use to spend to emotionalize, to think about negative and emotionalize, then you can use the same amount to think of good and positive and emotionalize it to create that same, the opposite. So let us rise up and take control of our mind. As I said, and I want to use that as the ending part of my message. Petrol or kerosene can be used to empower whatever that is meant for, whether for a lantern to give you light, or if it is petrol in a car to move you from point B to give you comfort. But the same element can be used to destroy the same thing, the same car or any other thing. So the thoughts that you have can cause distractions and at the same time cause you happiness and joy. Choose happiness, choose joy, choose greatness, and believe that you are made in the image and the likeness of God, given creative powers and ability to create and reshape and remold your life. And for that matter, you are the center of your life. You are the king of your life. You are the queen of your life. You are the director of your movie, and you will be the chief audience of your movie. So take control of your life and begin to walk in the right perspective, with the right perspective, with the right mindset that an African is born to do, is born to change the world, is born to make a difference in this world. And that is my message for you. Every habit that you are battling with, stop going to men of God or whatever, but take control of what you think and begin to weed them out one by one by sowing the right thoughts as given by James Allen. And once again, to conclude my message, I invoke the words of my mentor, Ralph Waldo Emerson, once again, that sow a thought and you reap an action. And you reap an action. Sow an act and you reap a habit. Sow a habit and you reap a character. Sow a character and you reap a destiny. Your destiny is the maturity of your own thought. And that is the end of my message. May the overshadowing presence of God that keeps the stars from falling on us from the skies and keeps the planets in their orbits without clashing with one another, keep you, lead you, and enlighten and empower you, and open your eyes, give you an open mind to be receptive and take the right action, the right move by taking control of your mind and weeding out everything that is not good for you from your subconscious mind to create your destiny, a life that all of us put together be a glorious and a wonderful life as Africans, and also contribute to the progress of humanity. Once again, my name is Emmanuel Mensah. I am a co-founder of the Eagle Mentality Group. At Eagle Mentality Group, our dedication and our focus is the teaching about the power of the subconscious mind, thoughts, and the universal laws and principles. It is our dream to raise a new generation of Africans who are enlightened, who are knowledgeable, who understand how things work in the universe, for us to team up to create a new Africa, an Africa that every man or woman can be found on our soil. White, Asian, whatever, creating a diverse but a unified Africa, such that the glory of God in diversity is shown and experienced on the African continent. And that is when Africa can be said is enlightened and has taken its rightful place in the universe. Thank you, and God bless you.